sit in. I told her she wasn't to come up, but she must have forgotten when I first asked her, is your opinion? You know, everybody gonna respect each other's opinion. Everybody see things different. So, yeah. Yeah. And that's why I ain't because, you know, for now.
And where is this going to be seen? Oh God, look
all over me.
I just was outside working.
Welcome to Sankofa Speaks. Today we are having a live review of the movie The Black Panther. And I would like to take this time to tell what Sankofa means. And Sankofa means to go back and to get it. And I have found out that oftentimes we as people, we go back and we get things, but we never do anything with it. So some things that we go back and get requires us to communicate it through speaking, which what we're going to do today, and requires action. So I would like to say to all of y'all that so today we say that Sankofa, that we're going to say that it is not wrong to go back and to get that which you have forgotten. And at this time, I would like for the panelists to introduce themselves. Tell us who you are and what profession.
Hello, my name is Katrina White. I am in the medical field as a radiologic technologist, and I also work part-time in mental health.
I'm Jamila Elamine. I'm the executive director of the Noja Art Society. I've been an art administrator for over 45 years.
And I am Dr. Stanley. I own my own business as well as a mental health specialist.
And so they'll me charge it to just don't charge it to my mind, with my heart. I am Alicia Etowar, and I'm a certified nurse's assistant, and I work in the community with Morehouse Academy. And I also will be starting a CDC in the Cedar Grove area, the East and the West. And at this time, I would like for each one of my panelists to just tell me what you think about the movie. Just shortly, what you think about
it. In my view of the movie, what stuck out to me was the strength of the women in those tribes, in that particular tribe, and also what spoke to me was the division in the family, which is something that I see a lot nowadays, how families are so divided and there's a lack of unity and a lack of self-awareness.
Well, what I saw in the movie was it has nothing to do with us. It has something to do with Africans and then the white man that saved the whole civilization afterwards. But we died in the middle passage. That's what I saw.
And what I got from the movie is how a group of people are able to sustain themselves, how to grow and develop a country, and actually move forward, and able to do all that out of the eyes of the world, and actually be okay.
Okay. And I went to the movies for entertainment purposes only. But when I got there and I began to look at the movie, it prompted me to want to have this discussion because there was so much in it. And it also inspired me to want to do some extra research to find out other people's mindsets on how they see the movie. So that's why we are here today. Now, I have 4 things that I would like to discuss. I would like to discuss the unity in the family. I would like to discuss the internal conflict and deal with Killmonger, but if we want to deal with any of the other ones, we can. I would like to discuss the African colonization. We don't necessarily have to deal with history, but we all know what it is to be colonized. And I would like to also deal with truth speaks and lies. And that's going to deal with you knowing who you are and how you express it. So who would like to start off with the unity in the family? Well, I didn't see in the main family, they was unified, but they had a whole lot of other things going on. And sometimes when you get a half truth, you can't really make straight things or things that are to be right things to make right mistakes because they didn't even know about one of their family, you know. So, but I did see a lot of unity within the women. The women, I saw a real strong sisterhood, but I'm not gonna go there right now. Anyone else?
I don't know, maybe I was looking at the movie wrong because I didn't see any family unity. I just saw a Marvel movie that was stuck together, and they had our people, the Africans, viewing us from something that was so futuristic that I couldn't understand why, in the end, they were flying around in tin cans. Because if they were so futuristic, what is this? I didn't understand. Is it a fantasy? Uh, is it just to make Black people feel good that we have a hero, that we are divided amongst ourselves, living with our heroes? Because the young man who was lost and found, I see that as us, who was brought here, and we were lost, and we were left out because Africa is a whole continent.
Yeah.
And from the 50s on, I can start from there. They've always been involved with the, the world, whatever. Where do they go to that? The United Nations. I've never heard anybody mention us. I've never heard of any modern things that's come out of Africa. And I was wondering, why are they doing this? Are they trying to confuse us? I don't understand. I didn't understand the whole thing. And especially the last part when the white man saved the African civilization, who was so far ahead of everything. I didn't understand it
And
at all.
then he was a CIA.
And he was a CIA.
And they never have. They always work against us as people.
All I could say is what I seen is another thing that the white man does to us by showing us things that is not true, half truths, and then we follow through it. What I didn't understand is why would we just take all of our children and go see this movie? I mean, nobody went to see the one about what's his name? The one they blackballed. Nat Turner. No, but none of us got all excited and said, let's take our children to see Nat Turner. But we went to see this fantasy stuff that had nothing to do with us, except us playing basketball in Oakland, California, where the Panthers were originally made. And I thought it was all just so convoluted and directed towards our youth, really. That's how I did.
What I got from that is that when you look at the movie, you really didn't see you didn't see children in there. There were really no children in the movie, and we all know that what we consider family growth, even when you think of the ump, half of that, part of the ump is a child, and so you saw no children. You saw nothing that actually a family sitting down together. You never saw any of that. So that was one of the things that reigned, that just popped out at me. And then also the women were the protectors, and I have no issue with that. However, what does it say? What does it say about the men?
Yes. So that was to piggyback on about the kids, I noticed it wasn't any children at the crowning of the king, but they showed children doing the ritual where they go into the ancestral land. They showed a small child, and we understand that most religions bring up children, they train them to do certain things, just like in the Bible. We got what he did with the little priest, Hannah's son. He brought him up in a way. So, but that's the only thing I've seen so far as small, young generation just participating in that.
And very few elders. It was like it's what it was, a Marvel movie.
Yeah, it was a fictional movie. But so many people got really excited with what is sparked in them. A lot of times we have things that are latent in us. And what they say about Marcus Garvey, he was able to speak to the people because he spoke to the potential that was laying within them, not doing anything. And so he inspired them, and they was able to rise up. And I think this is what has happened to America. We have went to the movies and we have not seen ourselves in a positive light as being a Marvel hero.
I think too, sometimes people can label things, entitle things that intrigue the interest of people, because when you say Black Panther, I'm thinking, okay, this is a movie that's going to give me knowledge on the Black Panther movement and how they did things. But when you go see the movie, it's coming from a totally different aspect. So I think a lot of people probably were so hyped about the movie because of the title of it, you know?
I think a lot of people were excited about the movie because it was the first time that anyone who looked like this was able to see Africa in a different light. The only time we've seen Africa probably since the 50s, and I know since I grew up, was always a starving child that we're sending $1 or $2 a day for. You really never see Africa in a different light. So this actually gave the opportunity to see Africa as something other than just a poor, impoverished country. So with that, it kind of gave people a different idea of this is what Africa is. And very few people want to go over there. This may make more people want to go and travel that way. You want to go to Europe, you want to go to Paris, some people, and you want to go to Africa. So maybe this people encourage people to travel over there.
But once you get there, will you see all of this Marvel stuff? You still see all those little tin shacks and us living in poverty. This is a fantasy, and that's what they keep feeding our people. We tell the truth. First of all, we don't have any images of ourselves in this country. Let's just say in this city. There's no murals representing us. And we're 65-something% Black people. And there's nothing going on unless it's some fantasy. That Marvel movie was a fantasy. It had nothing. Africa is not like that. I've never seen any geniuses come out of there who's living in another dimension. I'm sure there's smart people, but what we always see is, like you said, the poverty side. Are there rich Black Africans there, other than the leaders who's taking the money away from the people? And why would we entertain ourselves with a lie?
Sometimes when we go into movies or we go into a situation that we go in with a preconception, and the preconceptions that we have a lot of time were blind. We saw what they wanted us to see about the greatness of Taiwan, but a lot of people miss coming to the end. It also showed us what Africans think about us. When they met Killmonger, they said he's a child. He's not pure. And this is the thought that the African people have for the so-called African Americans. They are not going to respect us and accept us as coming from over there because we miss the Indians and all these other different races. So the Africans are not accepting us. They taking my ancestors from over there, but they still got family. So I have living ancestors over there. We all do, but will they accept us?
And when you talk about unity, one of the most important things in order to be unified is to be culturally competent. We don't have enough competency among cultures, so what we don't understand, we criticize. Yeah. So I don't know, we need to have more training and more sessions about cultural competency and embracing one another.
Well, as far as we're concerned, we need to be more culture conscious about ourselves. You're right. Because until we understand who we are, we can't understand anybody. Right. And nobody else is more important than we are. And that's why I can't understand why, and maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. But and I believe that I know that we are Africans. Our heritage is African. But we've been here for 500 years. We have every nationality there is in us. So, I mean, until we understand who we are and what we have to do for ourselves and educate our children to know who they are, we'll constantly get this kind of stuff where some other group of people will be the marble and we'll just be the participants.
Is that not the same kind of the ideas that they actually had over there in the African continent? Because when Killmonger came over, he was saying you have all these people, and didn't everybody get their start from here in Africa? And they were saying, we have to take care of us, and we have to make sure we're good over here. We're not really going to be able to go out and save the world. So that was the idea of we can't save everybody, so we got to get us together. And so I think he was kind of speaking on the same thing that you were saying.
Yes, but he was speaking of the ones who just left here with the religious group. We were just left. And the young man, the one who was left here, you could say he was really a Black American, right? He's a Black American. So he was angry. We have every right to be, until those people on the continent understand why we are so upset about what's going on with us. And all these other nationalities come into our country and they're treated with more respect than we are because we don't seem to understand that if without us, there's nothing. Africa's not going to survive without us making it. If we don't make it, nobody is. Nobody's going to make it. So what we need to do is concentrate on ourselves and stop taking our children and be subliminally subjected to that kind of Marvel thing. Who made the money? Walt Disney, the Marvel movies. The actors, I think they made something like $50,000. I mean, come on.
Angela Bassett was paid. She was paid. She was only paid $400,000. $400,000.
See, and and what role did she have? This is a Black woman. Yes, she had a little mini role. Forrest Whitaker, he died. He had $600,000.
He made $600,000.
Yeah. And all of
She can different in music.
It's all. Introduce yourself, tell us who you are, interpretation.
Or and I am a volunteer as the promotion consultant.
she's the center director.
Yes, I'm the center director. And I went to the movie. And then I went to the movie. And when we go to the movie, we generally go to the movie for entertainment. So if we watch that movie for entertainment, is that what we got? Do we go to the movie and not see the story in the movie, the real story? And I think that so many people took their children and the excitement of the movie. And I think that what happens is that we are not here for anybody's entertainment. And when we can see the need for us as a nation within this nation to see ourselves as more than entertainers, whether it's basketball or football or whatever. Because when that movie was said and done, it was the basketball player. That's what we did. And so what is it? What is it that the writer of that movie was trying to project? Do we know? Do we have any idea? And it was as much money as it made. I think somebody said it made a record amount of money. of what their benefit was to us.
We're right back in the same slot with the movie, as we always are. We spend more money than anybody. The reason that movie is making all that money is because we spent the money to go see it. And like you said, we don't pay attention to the movie. The movie is entertainment. You went to be entertained. I can't go to movies to be entertained because, I mean, we have too many problems out here. And when I go to the movie, I'm trying to read the subliminal messages that they're sending out because they're not sending anything good out for us. They're not teaching us anything. And what they did was a disservice to the Africans because they had the Africans all dressed up and have lived billions of eons and eons secure and happy in this peaceful environment. And then here we come again with the white man. You know, he takes up, but only they put the black man in. He became the enemy. The white man became the hero. The brother became the enemy. You know, hey, what's up, cuz? You know, we don't like that. We don't like that because we're seen on TV as being drug addicts, killers, rapists, all kind of things. We're the only ones that's constantly projected that way. When there's over 200, 300 million whites, 30-something million blacks, how could we be the only ones that are so corrupt and have a million people in prison? And then we go see these movies and we see how another culture has been living like this forever. They've been having secrets forever. We've been suffering. I mean, that didn't make sense to me. The movie did not make sense, but it made sense to this point. It wasn't us who put it together. We didn't put it together. It was the Marvels, you know. And this is the first time they had a black person depicted as a hero. You know, so I don't understand really. We need to be going to these schools, talking to our children and telling them some of the things we're saying right now about the movie, about the people who's serving us this stuff. You know? We constantly take it, and then we don't get entertained by it. You know, I mean that don't make sense to me. We go spend our money to be entertained by garbage. And I was really surprised. I've never heard anybody get together and say, "Oh, let's get together and take our children to hear a brother lecture." So we don't do that. Oh, but everybody got their kids together. Everybody in the neighborhood went to see this movie. And how much money did it make?
Currently, it's at 1 billion.
Okay, anybody else have anything else to say? There was something I wanted to say. Okay, internal conflict of Killmonger. How did he get Killmonger? He was the one that so many so-called African Americans related to. Oh, in the movie? No, he had to, yeah. He's the one that related to. He got left behind. Oh, okay. That got left behind. And I'll just talk about his internal conflict. What I look at is that he was dealing with two different philosophies. He had a mother that was an African American and a father who was a pure African. So he was dealing with the mindset of the African American and how he had been treated, and he had to deal with the philosophy of Kawana, which was the African people. They kept to themselves, they kept the riches and the technology to themselves. So really, in reality, he was not enough American to be an American. He was not enough African to be an African, according to America and according to the continent of Africa. And Angela, the Queen Mother, she proved that when he came up, and they didn't even know anything about him. They didn't even want to accept him because he wasn't a pure-blooded African. And the strangest thing, this getting me a little bit ahead, we have to decide for ourselves what culture because they don't want us to accept the African culture. The African
We
people,
have our culture.
that's what I know. Craig Lee said something very important. He said, because we are over here, we have created for ourselves a subculture. So the subculture is how we are living and what we are doing. And it's not until we make a decision. Culture is very important. And a lot of people don't understand culture is very important. And even with Killmonger, the English that he was raised up with over here in America, when he stood before that pure African culture council, and he was saying who he was, those people didn't hear him. But they heard him when he spoke in the cultural language, because that expressed who he was. So we as a people that over here, we need to make a decision what type of culture that we're going to say that we create for ourselves. A culture does several things for you. It tells you who you buy with.
It tells how you live.
How you live, what you eat. That's what culture does. Your belief. Yes, your belief and your values. All of that. And a lot of people don't understand culture is very important. If you don't have that, you'll be going here, there, and you'll be everywhere. But they were supposed to be the Africans on the continent, and they was not unified. Africa have never been unified. They are tribal. They are faithful to their tribe. That's who they are faithful to. If you're not part of their tribe, they're not faithful.
Well, I hear you saying that, and you're saying how important culture is.
Okay.
After 500 years, don't you think we have culture? I mean, you can start over there at that timeline and go all the way around this room, okay? And see our culture. There's not an African in it. Other than the great kings and queens of Africa that were taken away from Africa. And it left Africa depleted. And it's still depleted. And the great kings and queens, as far as I'm concerned, was us. They took the best out of Africa. And they left us, and we were left in America to create a culture. And that's exactly what we did.
But so many of us don't even understand we have a culture.
But that's why
we are
So
so
then what's the
divided.
culture?
What is
the
the culture?
culture? And I would ask that, because if there's a concern,
She says you could go around
well,
here
just
and look
give
at
me,
this time.
if you can give me a synopsis
Yeah.
of what would be the culture.
Okay.
Because when you're talking to younger people,
Right.
they would ask you, what is the culture? We know what the Jewish culture is. We know what Mexican America's culture is.
Yes.
We can look at the Orientals and tell what their culture is. However, even with African Americans, what is our culture? We celebrate other people's holidays. We celebrate, we dress as others. We don't, so what is our culture? What would that be?
Exactly what we
So
do.
then I would ask,
exactly what we're doing.
so we're just assuming.
You're saying, I understand you. I listened to what the Africans thought about the movie. And in Africa, the Nigerians, with their culture, they have 3 different tribes. And those 3 different tribes, they eat and they look and they dress differently. So that's the way we are too. We eat and we dress and we act differently. But nobody wants to accept me being different. Your culture may be for you to dress like this and others like you. My culture may be is what I said for myself, to dress like this, and this is others that dress like me too. But the thing is, we have not came together.
But is that a choice of how you live, or is that a culture? Is it a choice of how
we
we're
haven't
living?
made that as a people. That's what I'm saying. And until then, we can't tell the young people. We can't tell the old people. The elders can't tell us what our culture is. I listened to the African talk, and the man said something very important. We all know here. I didn't need him to tell me this. But in earlier days in the 60s, when we had our own strong community, that was our culture. But we were forced to live together. And then when they brought us over here on the ships, we got here on this land, we were forced, these different cultures was forced to be together, even though on the continent, they were separated.
Well, I believe that what happened was originally is that we were forced apart. That's why they sold mothers and fathers and children different places. That way you would not have a ton.
That's right.
So to live in this country, we were drawn together by the spirit in us. And even though we were here, we knew that mothers took care of their children. We knew that mothers, we knew these things. This was in us, but we were forced apart. We were forced apart, and then we had to come together to live in this country amongst ourselves. Amongst ourselves. How did we find each other? How did we come together? What was it that we wanted? The time came that, it's ironic that this movie is called Black Panther. It's ironic it's called Black Panther because I believe that one of the strongest times was during the 70s, when Black Panthers, the 60s, when, you see, I believe that what we didn't understand as a group of people was the fact that you had the brightest and the best with minds doing something. Again, we were forced apart. We were forced apart. And so, I don't know. I believe that what happens is when we talk about culture, when we talk about who we are, we are the only people where blood doesn't matter. We're the only people where color doesn't matter. We're the only people where nothing matters. Nothing matters. And so we're looking outside of ourselves to find ourselves. And because we're looking outside of ourselves to find ourselves, we never find ourselves until we realize that it is within us. It's within us.
And again, I'm a novice compared to that, but when I think about African American culture, I see creative people, I see strong people, I see intelligent people, I see people that, to me, I think we have so much aggression that's built up on the inside of us. When you say we were forced to be divided, what was that force? Is it our the individuality that we have not being able to come together as a people? Who is forcing us apart? What is forcing us apart? Because we have so much individuality, so much creative abilities, but how can we bring those abilities and cohabitate in a group? That's what I find we fight so much amongst each other because the aggression that has been built in us from slavery. How do we, I guess, balance that out enough to where we can cohabitate and interact and intermingle amongst each other? When you look at what's his name? Killmonger, he suffered, abuse. Or when I say abuse, I'm saying being left out. He felt like they wish they did. They left him out. They didn't include him, so he was angry. He was angry, but even in his rightful place of being in that tribe, of being that bloodline, his aggression was what ultimately took him out. His aggression. So at what point do we say, okay, the resiliency to say, okay, yes, I was misused, I was mistreated, I was left out. But how do we bring all of that creative ability and all of that intelligence and that individuality and learn how to mingle or cohabitate as a group?
What I saw in that was with the two with Killmonger. Killmonger was one who was here, and he saw the devastation and the lack, and all that. He experienced that, and his thing was, I don't want to just save myself. I want to save my people. Over in Africa, they were saying we just have to preserve what we have and keep this. We just got to keep this over here. And we hate that you all are going through that, but we have to save me. We have to save us. And so Killmonger's anger, in my opinion, came from the fact that you have people that are living in flying ships and that could, with one of those pearls or whatever, one of those flowers, demolish all of the wrong that was done to Black people, and they chose not to do it. And then he lost his life because he wanted his people to do better. I don't actually see Killmonger as the worst person in the movie. I truly don't. And because at the end of the day, his thing was, I want to save my people. I want to, you all have all of this. And how dare you all take all of these riches and all of the growth that you all have and keep it for yourselves and not share with everybody, because you all can cure these things. Our people are dying. Our people are sick. Our people are being abused, and you all are flying. Y'all are flying. But I did like the fact that over in Africa, you had people that were living in considered to be mansions, and you still had people living out on farms, and they were all good with that. Everybody wasn't at the same level, but they were where they wanted to be. But I did not. My hero in the movie was Killmonger, and I did hate to see him leave because at the end when he died, he died. He says, "No, I won't be in prison." He wanted to go back and drop me off in the middle path. Amen. That's what he wanted to be. Let me go back with my ancestors.
And see, I'm not saying that he was the worst person in the movie.
No,
but what I'm saying is, even in the midst of being treated wrong, okay, which we are so much in society, why is it the aggression is so much stronger than our intelligence to know how to fight back the right way? So Martin Luther King said, nonviolence. If we would have had violence, where would they have gotten us today as a people?
Well, but the thing is, you have to think about it. That over in Africa, we were these nonviolent people, and anytime you have a nonviolent person and you put a violent person with them, the violent person is going to win. And so all of our nonviolence and praying has gotten us busted in the head and shot dead in the street. And that's what we are now. We actually, when the children get killed in the streets right now, we're saying pray and we march. And 10 days later, nothing has changed. So Killmonger was on a different, in my opinion, different road that I don't mean blood for blood, but what I'm saying is that it has to be a different way, because we won't get it from praying. We won't get it from any of that, because you have to realize when you have a culture or people who are trying to survive, for the last 5 years, the growth rate or the birth rate, as far as the growth rate for Caucasians is negative 0.0. They're no longer reproducing. They're no longer reproducing. That's fact. So when you have a culture that's no longer reproducing, they're in survival mode. So when you look at the things that they are doing to survive, I don't know if anybody's doing what culture people wouldn't do. They're in survival mode. So whatever they can do to survive, that's what they're going to do. And I think that's at the end of the day, Killmonger was doing. We have to survive. Because,
and what did it give him in the movie? Where did that?
Exactly.
What did it resolve?
And he died in the middle passage. He said he would rather be in the middle passage than to be caught between Africa and America.
Going to prison in Africa. But they were going to put him in prison.
Yeah, because Africa we have never done
right. And he didn't die. He went on taking his own life because his cousin said we could save you. And he was like, oh no, he pulled that sword out. He made that.
He said he would rather die in the middle passage.
And Kawala was people that say we don't like violence. So they was one of the non-violent people. We only will fight if we have to. And the king said something very important where we can learn about our living ancestors in Africa. He said he was not the king of all of Africa or the whole world, just Kauai.
The fantasy guy.
Yeah, he just that, and that's the attitude that they have. Just that. But one of the characters that I love was Nakia. Nakia was part of Kauai, but she didn't believe in the philosophy of it. She wanted to go out. She didn't believe in being selfish. She wanted to go out and try to help the other people that was outside of Kauai.
Something was wrong with me because I didn't look at the movie to remember all of everybody's parts and positions. I was looking at the movie to see exactly. I thought, for some reason, I don't know what I thought. I thought that the Black Panther, whoever he was, what's his name? Whatever his name was, we don't even know his name. I thought on the movie. I thought that he was going to be more, defending coming from Africa to help defend this culture, because, like you said, we don't have a culture. It might be the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because prison is a culture of ours. We have to accept everything about our culture and not say we don't have one. Because we have one, a powerful one, but we don't acknowledge it. We keep looking outside for something else. And we're the ones who need to go back and help our people in Africa. But until we get ourselves together, what can we do? Keep saying that we don't have a culture. We can't help nobody if we don't have nothing for ourselves. We can't help anyone. We can't look at Africa and say, my great-great-great-great-great-grandmother's down there. It's part of me. What about my great-grandmother, right? My grandmother who died here.
That's right.
And the blood is running through this soil. We have a culture. And we need to identify it, because otherwise these Marvel movies, they'll keep putting it out there for us.
We talk about Kucha Shakalea every year, and only defining that we give ourselves African names and Muslim names, but we have not defined ourselves as people. As a whole, us over here, Afro-American.
We're not Afro-American. We're not African-American.
That's why I said so-called.
We are
Afro.
And what are we? If you have a white America, and all of these people came from England, all these different countries, but they still say they are white Americans. If you got a white America, then you definitely have the other extreme, the Black America. And for you to say we don't have a culture, we are Black Americans. We built this country, and until we start claiming it and taking it for ourselves, and admitting that we got people in jail that's being put away that we have nothing to do with. We can't say nothing about it. Well, some young brother just got put in jail for having a joint, 20 years. And none of us are doing nothing about it. We don't talk about it. We're not interested. We say, you do the time, you did the crime, do the time. That's how we think about our business. But it showed you right over in whatever that Black Panther's home. It showed that unity that they had, but they also excluded us.
Yes, they did. A lot of people don't.
And I don't understand how we didn't see that in this movie. How we can see that the white man is still pulling the strings. He's still manipulating us. The lynch papers. That movie might as well be like it was written about the lynch.
It probably was.
Thank you for putting your children in our institutions and getting educations. Now we have you for another 300 years because you will be working on our job. We are just oblivious to everything that's going on around us. And what his name, the Killmonger, he was angry. I'm angry. I'm angry right now. I carry that same feeling. because, I mean, and then to find out that y'all was looking at us through a glass and seeing all this suffering, and not only that, but you can allow it to continue to happen when, like you said, you have a little flower that you can throw out there and get rid of all this.
And not only did they look over here, but the people that was around them, their neighbors. At the beginning of the movie, it says that they hid in plain sight, but all this chaos was happening around them.
You mean in America?
Oh, no, they talking around
Oh,
on the continent in Africa.
I thought it was interesting toward the end of the movie. I thought it was interesting that one of the saviors in the I thought it was interesting that one, the African American woman, is who brought the Caucasian man into the midst of all the secret. Two, I thought it was interesting that one of the saviors in the movie was the Caucasian man. And three, I thought it was interesting that Wakanda, when they were standing up on stage, they told them, "How can you all help? How can you all do anything? Y'all have anything but horses and whatever." And you're farmers. And the Caucasian man at this point is standing. He's out in the audience smiling because he used giving him the African American woman had given him every secret. He saw how the machines work. He knows how to fly. He knows how to break. He knows
the African woman.
Well, the African woman.
Yeah, she was
the woman from over there. She had given him every secret, and she brought him back. She brought him back over to the land. And so I think that's interesting that even over there we have a savior. We don't mind saving other people, but they don't save us.
And then also, what a lot of us miss, I missed it the first 3 times I look at it, as you're saying, the Wakandan woman, that scientist, the young girl, how she opened up everything. In reality, everybody else around Wakanda was being colonized, and they was colonized themselves. And I asked her, how did this happen? If you notice in the movie, she said she looked at the movies with her father, even with her creations for the shoes, she called them sneakers. Even with her dress, she dressed the subculture way that we dress over here. That's what she was doing. All her little outfits was very flashy with a lot of color. But they was colonized as well without anybody going in doing it to them. They was able to look out and be inspired and to put it into the physical. So the king was colonized because he was selfish. The father, that father, they had the mindset. So T'Challa, the present king, he was colonized. Of all the people that suffering outside, he didn't want to save them. But one European come in, how can I let him die? And so they was just as colonized as we are.
They colonize themselves.
That's right. and that's the most powerful thing when you do it yourself.
Yeah, and then you let the white man.
It tells you that a man's behavior is formed by the things that he sees, and when you put it into the physical. It was a very psychological movie.
It was, and not only that, but just like they used to say that during slavery, the only 2 people that was free was the white man and the black woman. They pulled it up again in the movie. The black woman gave the white man all the information. They're showing that the Africans, when they came here, they were really, I guess, in awe of this white man. And then they still are, because she gave him all of the information. Then not to us.
Not to the people that surrounding that hurting them.
Yeah, it was almost like going to the United Nations and seeing all these black countries and not one of them saying, what about the human rights of the Africans that was taken away from the continent 500 years ago? I mean, they just repeating it. They doing it
where his father was killed.
They repeating that for our children. Exactly. In another way. They're doing it with the movie. They're doing these things to us and we're allowing it. Because we rush there with young children who don't have an idea of nothing give these people all this money for them to go see this fantasy.
But at the end of
And
the day,
who was the writer of this movie?
and
And what was his subliminal message that everybody got?
We saw it.
Okay, and so I think that you asked, how do we get together? How do we do this? Well, we have to realize that the most important thing is our perception of self. Our perception of self. And for us to get to a point where we have to realize that what we want our children to know, we have given all of our powers over to somebody else to teach our children, to politicize our children, to do all of these things. And we're sitting back, helping our children to realize the most important thing to them right now is entertainment. Every child has one or two telephones or the little things and whatever. Have you taken the time to look at what your children or your grandchildren or your nieces and nephews are watching on those gadgets? How they act. Take a look at it and see some of their action is just like those little characters on there. So when I watched that movie, when I watched the other movie, I realized that it seems as if though we want them to know it's easier to live in fantasy land than it is in reality. Whose reality are they living in? Because everything that I saw was fantasy.
Most of the people that went, they got the movie living in that.
And they took a whole bunch of children that we have
to
a
understand. That's right. Yes.
well, I think that we may have done that, but on the other side, because I think everything is duality. On another side, we finally saw a movie that wasn't a slave movie, which is a good movie. We do need to see we need to see our history, but we did see a movie that Black people weren't running and wasn't getting beat and wasn't on the TV shaking their butt and wasn't cussing and wasn't getting shot. All the other kinds. It was a movie actually seeing Black people elevated on one hand, but then on the other hand, of course, they were fighting and carrying on with each other. But I think that back to what you were saying earlier, one of the things that we have an issue with over here because the culture, we don't like it. We cannot stand it. We will put on everybody else's face, and everybody else we don't like our own hair, we don't like our skin. They make bleach, and we will bleach ourselves to death. We will do all those things just to be like somebody else, just to be accepted, because we don't like ourselves.
But we were made like that because TV, the commercials, everything you saw was about white, whatever. We were this whole thing is an institution. It was institutionalized, and we've been institutionalized. And the only way we can get out of it is we have to take control of our communities. And if it means cutting off someone's head and letting everyone know it ain't the police, it ain't the white man, we're not accepted. Until we do that, we can forget it because we're nothing. I mean, you say we don't want to take our children to live in fantasy land, but we'll take them to the movie to see fantasy. We say these things, but we don't do anything about it because what we need to do is too hard. It's a hard thing. What we have to do is a very difficult thing, and it's not going to be easy, and it's going to require blood. Every other culture on this planet has had a civil war where they said, no, my grandfather can't be that kind of person because he's wrong. He's raping the grandchildren. Get rid of it. Until we do that, we might as well just settle back in hell. And
we allow our children to be molested by grandchildren, granddad. And
then we go to church and say, oh, he's forgiven because Jesus died for him on the cross. So it's okay. for you to do what you're doing. They're already justified. We're already justified for doing anything because it's written in the church, and we have how many churches? I mean,
We have about 400 in the state.
I mean,
I think
Within our community.
I think education is important.
Yeah.
That's empowering. And I mean, and again, just learning how to fight back the right way. Because again, the aggression and the violence, to me, it doesn't get us any further than where we are today.
but you saying aggression with who? The white man? Not aggression.
Aggression
with ourselves.
within ourselves.
Because we can forget about it.
You said self-awareness. Let's look at the black
Yeah,
culture.
we can move the white man and all of others out of the way.
Let's talk about in the mental health and how it's
Yes,
okay
okay.
to be angry. Angry is a normal emotion,
Yes.
but what is not okay is the aggression that comes behind it. Just like this young lady just got killed. I mean, we have to learn how to control our emotions, and that's the main reason why we, as a black community, are not making the progress that we need. Is because everybody wants their idea. Is what I think, what I believe. And if it doesn't go their way, then we have a
I'm not
problem.
in no way.
So then there where division comes in. And so wherever division is, there's no power. So we have to learn how to unify so we can be empowered to make a difference in this culture, or even, you know what I'm saying, helping our kids to understand our culture, because all they see now is aggression and anger. All they see is violence. And so,
But don't it say that? I mean, I know the Bible and everything is a truth and false mixed together. But don't it say that this is the time in this world that these kind of things are going to be happening? And it didn't happen in Sodom and Gomorrah and everybody else. Well, then why are we surprised that we have to act this way? You know, that we're put in this situation where we have young people who are treacherous. They don't deserve to be around nobody, especially us, because we care too much about ourselves, our family. I love my grandfather. Maybe he was wrong for raping little Molly, but that's my grandfather. Let's go to church and pray. Well, what we need to do is get a bunch of them like the police do and tell them all them ones that we know that are, and we know them, you know, because I got them in my family, get them in one place and then get them there. If they don't understand, do like what they did in Africa. Who was that? One of the leaders, and he said, well, not Shaka. Shaka was just here. He didn't care. But it was this African leader in one of them wars. I think it was the Zulus or whatever. And they were saying, how many of you would be willing to turn around and kill somebody if you know that this person is going to destroy what we're trying to do right here? Are you willing to just allow it to happen and perpetuate the way it is? Or are we going to get rid of this person?
Why do you think we think like that? Why do you think now that we think like we're going to save everyone? Why do you think that thought is? If it was over there that way, why do you now think that everybody, if you molested, if you raped, if it's something that you're continuously doing, if you're stealing, you go to buy people's houses and you're still doing, what do you think? Why do we do that? Why do we keep letting them in?
We keep letting them in because the majority of the people say, thou shalt not kill. Jesus already died for your sins. You shouldn't have to be punished, you know, but the white man will put you in jail and punish us, where his people, his young people, now that they're on drugs and everything, it's an epidemic. And you have to go and get treatment. But we didn't live through all of this through the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. Our children dying young off of drugs that they're bringing in.
We go to jail for something that they make legal.
They gonna go take them to jail and say, you had a rock of crack cocaine, 9 years. The white boy said, no, here, you had 5 pounds of powder, 6 months. I mean, we started talking about things, but we need to get together, first of all, and put some fear in some of these, our own people first. They need to be afraid that something is going to happen to you. It might even be your own grandmother. She's not going to accept this. Don't you know that'll make change people? Don't you know that'll make them change?
So help me understand,
And-
what's your solution to that?
My solution to this is there are conscious people, like you said. And I'm not talking about the conscious people in Shreveport or the conscious people here and there. I'm talking about there are people right now who think like me. And I feel like we should get rid of a whole bunch of people. And I'm gonna start in my family, not outside of it, because I see it. I know it.
So
when
what
it
should be
great.
recompensed? When it should be recompensed in this earth, on this earth, whatever sin you create on this earth in this lifetime, it should be recompensed.
Right, just right
That's
now, not
So
later.
that's where
Well, not only Bible,
And
you believe in the law.
I believe in the law.
So
What I'm saying,
the
I know a lot of
universe,
people
so
believe
the
in the Bible.
universe itself, the Bible itself, the universe itself will take care of that individual. You reap what you sow.
Exactly.
You reap what
the
you
real-
sow.
one
And
thing-
if you're in a system that will do it physically to you, you reap what you sow.
But here's one thing that I think that we have to go back to. We must look at the system that we live in, okay? We must see ourselves as a people who live in a system without any culture of our own that we follow. See, there was a time when if your child did something,
I expect it.
you gonna spank his butt, you know? And nobody wasn't gonna come in your house telling you that you couldn't spank him, you can't do this, and you can't do that. Nobody was gonna do that. And when that changed, we did not stand up as a people and say, oh, all of us were Christians, but none of us came up and said, no, this is against my religion. This is my child. I'm gonna chastise it. So what we did is that we gave the keys to the system. So now your 4-year-old will say to you,
Blank, blank, blank.
you can't do that to me. You can't hit me. You can't. He goes to school and he acts out, and the teacher says, I can't do nothing about it. Send him home. But you're sending him home to a cultureless family. Well, I mean, when I say that, because there used to be a time when they sent him home and your grandmother was there because she was keeping him, he wasn't gonna say, I don't care, they ain't gonna do nothing.
That comes
Because that comes from the system that we live in.
In the system.
The system says to you that you will go to jail if you chastise your child. But if you don't chastise your child and he becomes that little monster that nobody can deal with at school, by the time he's 9th grade, he's going to be out of the system. He's going to be taking Ritalin, or he's going to be taking whatever other drugs they put on him. People who work in the system know. And by the time they're 9th grade, they are out of control.
It's 6th grade.
It's 6th grade. Okay. They're totally out of control. They've been to juvie. They've been this, been that. Come back. Grandma cannot deal with them. Well, he didn't take his medication last night.
Well, can I say
Medication.
This is what I've learned, and I've studied Dr. Joy Figure a lot because I just love her principles and how she teaches. One of the things that she says, and she gives this analogy, when you go in the kitchen and cook, most of us study when you cook. Where you learn to cook, you learn to cook from your grandma or your mother. You don't really, very few of us have a recipe written down. It's just in our head. We learned from watching her. She told us a little bit of what put here, put there, and we go on. I've taught my daughter the same thing. My mom learned from her mother. Handling problems, behavior, anger It's the same thing. So even though we've been free for all these years, off plantations or whatever for all these years, that has been learned. A lot of this anger has been learned. So when we went through a time where we had African American families being split up, or these families being split up, Black families just being demolished, and you have angry mothers and all that, those things are learned. So when you see a child act out and ready to fight for everything, I guarantee you when you meet the mother or the father, whomever's bringing her up, they are the same. They're that same thing. And so we have, it's people right now that are still getting counseling from 9/11. They watched it on TV and they're still getting counseling. No one has ever stopped and said to this community, let me get you some help. Let me teach you how to deal with your anger. So now people say, they'll say, I go from 0 to 10 with no problem. And they do. It's now a joke. It's normal. It's a normal thing. And so the abnormal has become normal for us. It's a normal thing for us. So just like in Wakanda, it was normal for them not to share any of their information or anything with anybody. They weren't going to share that. This is our normal. We're trying to survive and save ourselves. And whatever happens to anybody else, that's what happens to it. And so that's what we are as people. I have 3 children. I want to make sure each one of my children graduate from high school and go to college and get a great education, not just a liberal arts, but actually something that they can use, they can support themselves and move on through their lives. I know I help other children, but I really want to make sure my children are good. On the other hand, I know that my daughter, if I don't help the community, my children can walk into the store and get shot and killed, no matter how good their education is, by someone who doesn't know how to control their anger. And I think that's where the disconnect is with our community. We think that if my 3 and me and my 4 no more, those things don't work. And we're going to have to get off of someone else coming in to save us. We're the only people who allow our captures to teach us. I teach our children, but that's on a whole other subject. I'll hand it over back to you.
I want to say something. You talked about the training, how being reared up. I think at some point, from grandmother to mother, I think there's a break in the chain. And so when you look at culture, when you look at society today, you have parents that are clubbing with their kids, that are smoking and drinking with their kids. So it's not everybody that has abandoned the old time training. It's just people. I mean, it's just a break in the chain, and it's not being consistent to where kids are, understanding the rearing from back in the day. So we have to look at that too, and from that aspect as well.
And since that trench has been open, that gap is open, how do we breach it? How do we breach that? I mean, do we just sit back and wait and pray?
No. If you're gonna pray about it, you're gonna be praying about wisdom on how to do it. Yeah. And first thing what we have to do is educate our community with the conflict that just happened with the young lady, and they ain't seen no negotiator, no nothing in there. We need to teach our people on conflict with solutions. We need to, what you do with an active shooter. We need to start doing these things instead of waiting for other people to come into our community and to teach us. We even need to teach our children, our people about behavior. And how do the kids get to act this way? It's when they put it in the physical. I appreciate all of y'all opinions, even though everybody don't agree with everybody, but we respect your opinion. I thank you for not bringing up religion, because this is not what this is about. And I really appreciate y'all. The time is rolling. So if anybody have one particular thing that we have not discussed that you would like for us to discuss, how many minutes? Anybody have anything on we kind of covered?
Well, actually, yeah, we're covered. But what I wanted to say is, I heard you say about okay, maybe I should leave it alone.
Because the thing is, once we have people to watch it, everybody's going to have different opinions. And so that's the great thing about having different people from different dynamics. Yeah. So very good.
Well, it's just us here. We have, the African American community is vast.
Yeah.
The solutions that we talk about sound so simple and easy to do. They're impossible, otherwise they would have been done, you know, because we've had how many different leaders. We've had Marcus Garvey, we've had this one, we've had that one, we've had all of these things. But what we need to do is to take action.
Definitely.
And first it starts at home.
Mm-hmm.
It starts at home, then it starts in your community. Because what we try to do is we try to bite the whole thing and gobble it down, and we never get anything right. So what we need to do is really try to do things within our own families, within our own communities, and the ones who are not fitting in, they have to go. I mean, we're the kind of people that sit up and be thinking, oh, forgive him, he shouldn't do this, well, we don't want him to do that, and God have mercy on him. You know, we have things that kill people all the time, and they're natural disasters. So you can say that's kind of from the creator. You know, the creator does get rid of things that are not productive. And we have a lot of them that we have to get rid of first inside of our own house.
All the forgiving of the killings and all of this stuff, the system still take care of those type of people. Because we're in this,
but the system is not.
So you can forgive it all you want to, and think that's going to change the system that we're in. So praying and all of that, you can do that, but that's not. The system is still working.
The system starts
we don't
at
even
home.
need to confidence in something else. I'm reading a book called Old Common There, She McGow by Anthony Muhammad. And he said that in order to have effective change, you have to have a different mindset. Before anything can happen in my home, the change have to come with me first. And then my family, and then my community, then my state.
But we sit up here talking about solving the community's problem when you should be thinking about, like you said,
first you start with yourself.
Yourself.
Families make up.
And then
that's
your
what I'm
family.
saying. But first you gotta start with
yourself and then your family.
Yeah, and my family. And my family is vast. And there's a bunch of corrupt people in everybody's
family. I can't worry about reach my aunt, uncles, and
no, I'm
aunts.
talking about family that is in your house right now that you are influencing.
That's right.
You know,
yes.
So some of these people, they're not going to change. I mean, they're not. What do you do with them?
I know like you said, I let the system handle it.
Yeah, the system.
And
so we don't worry about God
handle it. But you all do realize
the fantasy situation.
But you all do realize that if you have a system set up for your family not to succeed, no matter how much we let the system handle it, there are always going to be those people who are going to corrupt our house because the system is not set up for your family to be successful. Right. Now, I'll say this is my closing remarks. One of the things that I think that I got from the movie, and I think that that we would need to do to start this process is every time I go, and definitely in the last 5 years, since I consider myself waking up awake and actually conscious and actually moving in the conscious community, I have seen every time I go to a conscious gathering, what I hear is separate and pull out. You know, they want to separate from the government and all that. And at the end of the day, maybe I'll agree with that. The one thing I don't agree with is that every time you swipe your card, you pay gas money, you do any of those things, they use your check. Taxes are coming out of that. And so until your taxes are no longer going into this system, in every aspect of this system, you have to have someone who looks like us and who thinks like us in there to represent us. And like I was telling her, I work for FEMA. The reason that I chose to go and work for FEMA is because during Katrina, so many Black people did not get a thing because no one Black was a FEMA inspector. They had few Black FEMA inspectors. So when I had to go through getting approved for through the Department of Homeland Security and all that, and I went through all of that process, the reason I did it is because I knew during the next storm, Black people would be affected, and someone Black needed to be able to go to the house and inspect those houses so people can get money because we pay into those systems. Every one of these systems that are federal, we pay into it. So then why don't we take advantages of these? If you have someone who's trying to fight for a grant, everybody in the community should be fighting for those people to get grants because we pay into that. Those are Shreveport should where Shreveport should be set up. The Black people's area should be nicer than anybody else because we're the largest community here. So why do we not get that money? Well, we don't get the money because we're too concerned, one, on my 3 and me, my 4 and no more, and with separation. We want to be able to build our own, but until we can get our own, every dime that we put in there, we need to be getting that out. Every dime we deposit into the system, we need to have somebody to get it out. That means in every aspect of every political stance, every voting stance, we need to be there. That's right. With the school system, the schools that are AB schools are the Caucasian. The schools that are the failing schools are the African Black schools. How is that possible if we are a majority Black city? How is it possible? How is it possible that Linwood down on the other end is beautiful, but down in the middle is torn up? If we're more, how is that possible? It makes no sense. And so when those things we continue to pull out, we want to pull out. And until we realize that we cannot, we just can't keep pulling out. We need to stop. We gotta get up in here and get this. We should be now supporting our who's going to make the election. And we need to have meetings and conversations with them. These are the things that we're expecting of you. And if you can't do those things, you're not getting this community to vote. Period. And on to the next.
Every time we always have a panel of those people, so we should do that again.
You should.
And it's just one of these things. Like even when they get in office, who can we get to? The ones who are running are already corrupt. And the ones who lose are the ones who are really the ones who we don't have the support of the.
But if we're 68% African, if we're 68% Black, there's no they should how do they win? They win because we don't show up.
They win. That's what I'm gonna say. That's it. They
So
win
blaming on them. We don't show up
because 60% of us don't vote.
It shows that we are registered, but we don't vote.
We don't vote.
It doesn't make sense.
Well, I know we have been here for a minute.
Closing statement.
Okay.
You want to be here?
Thank you. Goodness, you said it all. What we need to do, we do these things and then we say, okay, we did it. The question should always be, what next? What next? Where do we go from here? Do we understand right now? It's almost election time. Are we out there? Are we talking? Are we coming together? Without the voice, there's nothing else. Because without the voice, there's no action. We have these, we come together. Where do we go from here? Do we come out here with anything? Do we come out with anything? Do we say, okay, let's get together again, but let's talk about this, let's talk about that. Let's see if we can't come up with some strategies that's going to help us as a majority community in this city to make sure that things are working in our behalf. I mean, do we understand that within the school system, in our schools, there's no such thing as discipline? Send him home, call his mama. Well, if he's like this and he came out of that situation, what are you sending him to? So these are the things that when we come together, what's our next step? What's our strategy? What's our goal? What's our goal?
I have nothing to say because actually, I mean, like you said, or said, I mean, we have people out here doing things. The people that's running for office, I only have one vote. The people that are running for office, they have whatever their parties all around them. So So there's really not that much we can do other than what we can do in our own household and in our community. Like right here, the center. I don't, I'm not gonna say I don't care. This place should be packed all the time with people trying to get information. But you got a group over here, and then you got a group over there, and you talk about getting together, you got a group over here, and then we're backbiting each other. You know, we sit up at these kind of things and we talk and we sound intelligent, and as soon as we walk out the door, it's a whole nother ballgame. I can say this, I have backed up to this. Okay. Whatever comes, has to come. And anything I put out there, it goes out there. So I don't believe in just doing nothing and sitting and talking and having meetings, because most of the people out there, they don't know. They're not even aware. Like you said, nobody voted for, don't vote. They don't vote. They don't care. You know, who's running for anything in this city? We know Craig is running, but I haven't seen one flyer. I've been calling and trying out what's going on. I get nothing. So the politics are not working, you know, and they're gonna have the same setup that they had before.
Yeah, and we have to make sure that we communicate with each other. Because we got some candidates that are running, but they haven't came forward.
And we need to have things that we can pass out saying something about these candidates.
Like you say, having them to come and speak. And I'm part of Choose One Breakfast, and a lot of times the candidates do come and they tell us what, but usually that's at the last minute. We need to be able to see the candidate ahead of time, ask them to do a particular thing in the community and see just what they can do, instead of just waiting till they come and then they just give us false promise. Anything you want to say about the, I know we got sidetracked about the movie.
My closing remarks is just to echo what everybody already said. It's just to use the creative minds that we have and come together in a unified fashion so that we can better everybody.
I like that. Using our creativity.
And we've been using our creativity down here for the last 20 years, right here, and then years prior to that. But we don't have the participation. We have everyone here, and everybody is in their little individual mode.
Yeah,
you know. So I'm here all the time.
I thank you, Jamila, for letting us have our conversation today. I really appreciate you. We thank you for the tea, the ginger tea and everything. And I thank everybody for tuning in. And some of the audience people that came, I thank you. And of course, it was closed to the public, but not to your family members. And we're going to have this discussion some more because we didn't get a chance to get on here the area. And not only is we going to discuss this movie, there's another movie that came out that was very disturbing. Someone asked me to talk about it. Acrimony.
I haven't heard of that.
Oh, it's ridiculous how we are shown. Who else seen? Have you seen this?
I never heard of it.
Oh,
You seen it? What do you?
But anyway, that'll be another discussion. But it'll be us women. We really need to strengthen each other. So thank you for tuning in and listening to us. And please leave a comment and be nice to us, okay? And I would like to say Sankofa to you and let the healing begin.